Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast Retro Life for You, movies of the 1980s. My name is Chris Adams, host of the show, and back once again because he didn't get enough last time when we did the scary fog. We have Mr. Martin Phillips with us. Marty,
Hello there, Chris. How
welcome
are
back
you
to the
doing
show.
so far?
I'd say doing all right, man. How you been doing?
Oh, not bad, not bad. Did a little, did a little working over the weekend, and went to work today, and got one more day to work on Tuesday, and then I'm on my 3 days off.
It's like that old saying goes: I owe, so it's off to work I go.
Yep, definitely.
Um, yeah. Then speaking of working, Travis Rollins is always working himself, and he is not available this week. I myself, like him, both have been sick for the last several days. I've been fortunate enough for today to be a good day for me as recovery goes. Um, I know he sounds terrible. I talked to him earlier today for a brief minute. He asked me, "Were you going to cover tonight?" I told him, "Yeah, I got a hold
Oh,
of you, and you were going to come on." And he said, "Well, that's good." And he didn't like the fact that we might miss a week. And he just sounded really, really, really rough. And then halfway through his sentence, he just had a coughing fit. And he said all he's doing is cough and sneeze and blow his nose. He guessed. But that's pretty what it consists of when you get these bad sinus viruses. I don't know what they are, man. I say a sinus virus. I don't think there's such a thing. But I mean, you get the viruses that are really bad, and you're just sick as a dog for days. You're throwing up. You're in the bathroom, or when you can eat, stomach issues and all this other stuff. Now, this doesn't really have stomach issues with it, and you run to the bathroom or nothing. But I will tell you, you will feel like your head is so congested at one point it's going to explode. Your hearing will
exactly.
go a little bit bad because your ear will stop up, and you won't be able to hear very
I've,
well.
I've
And
had those. I've had
yeah,
those colds before. Yep.
yeah, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. So, Marty and I are going to sneak one in this week. This a fun movie to talk about. We were going to do a different one leading up to next week's episode that we're doing, which was actually supposed to be this weekend. We had to reschedule our guest. We had a guest coming on, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. Just that it's a director. I'll leave it at that. Our first ever director we got on here. And yes, this is an '80s podcast, so it's an '80s director. And don't get your hopes up; it is not. It's not one of the big names. Okay. To me, he was a big name because I loved the movies that he did back in that time frame. They were all through my childhood. But that's all I'm going to say is that I'm going to leave it at that. And hopefully, 2 weeks from now, you guys will be listening to it and you'll be enjoying that interview with him and talking about all the movies and the actors and actresses he got to work with, firsthand. So, but if what I'd
and
like to do at this time,
And
Marty,
I myself am looking forward to definitely listening to the podcast when that goes down
yes,
because I am a big fan of this guy's work myself.
yes. I
So
mean, he's got so many. Well, what's funny is though, I'm gonna leave you guys with a hint. He's got a lot of great action movies from our childhood, our early teen years that we loved then, and some of them we may go back and question now because of it's a different time, different era, a lot better, cameras and abilities for graphics. No, we're not graphics, but you know what I'm talking about, like
special
CGI and
effects.
stuff and special effects and everything. But he's got a lot of great action movies and one dance movie. And I'll just leave it at that. So, Marty,
Exactly.
what I'd like to do for a second is play a video. And
Uh,
I understand that some of our people here are listening. You'll be able to hear it. For those of you who are watching us on video for that day, you can take a look with us here and enjoy the trailer for what we are doing this week. So let's take a minute, Marty, and slide over to it. We'll be right back to the actual podcast itself.
all right.
The power of film is connection.
It's
And
about
of
the
course, an ad
smiles,
would
the
pop up. Wouldn't
sadness,
you
the
know it?
greatness, the
There
triumphs,
was no
and
ad. There was
sometimes just
no
the
ad a
regular
minute
days.
ago.
It's the
There's,
stories that people
there's,
tell
That,
there's
about the
no
lives we
ad.
live.
that's
There's
okay
no ad
though.
in my podcast.
That's
There's
right.
no ad in my podcast.
Well, here we go now.
What in the dickens is going on around here? Who was driving it? I don't know.
Curtis! It's coming after us! What is going on?
I don't know. You want a war? You got one. I just want to get the hell out of here. Please don't let me in the dark. Help me.
Oh, it bit my arm.
You're going to get us in an awful lot of trouble, man. We already in trouble.
Maximum terror.
Jesus coming in. He is.
Maximum King.
Maybe tomorrow will be our world again.
Dino De Laurentiis presents Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive. That is correct. I mean, I love this movie as a teenager.
Man, yeah, this movie is great. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've seen this movie even just watching it just like before doing the podcast. I'm sitting watching it on my TV, and I'm literally enjoying like every part of just rewatching this movie
Because
again.
it's such a fun movie, though. We were talking about this earlier off air. It's a fun movie. Now, I don't care what he says. It wasn't bad, but Stephen King said he would never ever direct another movie. He directed this movie. I will never ever direct another movie. They said, why not? He said, go watch Maximum Overdrive and come back and ask me again.
And see, I don't know why he said that, because I thought he did a great job. I mean, he wrote the screenplay for it. He directed it. I mean, and it has a kick-ass soundtrack.
Oh my God. This is going to be the best ever, because I'm partial to that kind of music. This has to be the best ever soundtrack to a movie in the 80s. And there's a ton of great ones, because I've said before, we had the episodes. Go check out some of the past episodes here and look for some of our favorite soundtracks we've done for the movies. But we've had like Footloose and Purple Rain and Breaking, and all these movies that had, Top Gun. All these that had great soundtracks, not just a couple of songs, but the whole soundtrack. This movie has AC/DC doing pretty much every song in the soundtrack.
Every song on the soundtrack is AC/DC. So,
crazy, isn't it?
I mean, literally, it is the whole Back in Black album as a soundtrack, pretty much. I mean, it's like
it's crazy. I told you that Stephen King said he'd never ever direct another one. He later admitted he was coked out of his mind during the production and often didn't know what he was doing. He remarked, though, that he would like to try directing sober someday. So that's the first step is admitting there's a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't that something else? There's another movie franchise, before I get into the movie of this, Marty, that I want to tell you about that I know you're a fan of, that may not have happened if it wasn't for this movie.
Oh, really?
It's because of this movie that Evil Dead became a franchise.
Oh, man.
Stephen King loved The Evil Dead from 1981, and his high praise of the film is largely credited with its success. While making this film, he heard Sam Raimi and the other creators were having difficulty making a sequel. So King brought this to the attention of producer Dino De Laurentiis, who helped Raimi make Evil Dead 2 in 1987. Had King not been working with De Laurentiis on this movie at the time, that horror franchise may never have gotten past the original. I guess they were having trouble securing money. None, I guess nobody wanted to be a part of it. They didn't believe in it. That's what I'm assuming. Yeah. And De Laurentiis come in and say, "Hey, I like this. Let's go with it."
And I'm gonna say right off the rip, the first Evil Dead movie was good. The second movie topped the first one, in my opinion, because you had He had decent horror effects. The comedy was hilarious. I mean, it had you laughing at every damn scene, and even like the very end of the movie with like the special effects
Yeah.
was just great. I mean,
Well, to go over this movie here, just to give you a kind of a small storyline to it, uh, there's not a lot to say about it. Earth passes through the tail of the Rhea M. Rogue comet. The machines come to life when this happens and start to kill mankind. A group of survivors they're under siege from a bunch of trucks at this place called the Dixie Boy Truck Stop gas station, and now they're trying to fight their way out, to just to survive, basically. So
uh
apparently, at the beginning of the movie, though, in the opening credits, it tells you about the tail of the comet there and how it stayed for 8 days,
yeah,
so many
8 days,
hours, and so many
5
minutes.
hours. I think it was like 8 days, 5 hours, and so many minutes and so many seconds.
Yeah.
So
And then I got something for you. You probably, because you just seen it before we started. Did you watch the end credit as they were getting on the boat and the boat was going off?
uh, yeah, I mean, well, I see the my what I was watching it on. It literally like it pretty much shows them where they're on the boat and they're sailing away, and you hear the little squeaky woman's voice, and she's saying, "You know how I don't like being on the boat, and I'm seasick," and then all of a sudden the air goes.
Yeah, yeah. But so at that part, at that point there's this some wording on the screen where it talks about
Oh,
where
the UFO! Yeah, the
yeah. So
Russians brought
so
the
so
UFO.
Emilio Estevez's character in the movie was telling that one girl that maybe there's an alien race out there that's trying to come out here and get rid of us. And these trucks are their brooms. They're the sweeper. They come in, they
Yeah,
sweep all of us off the map, and they come in and take over, get a whole new world of themselves or something. And then she's like, "That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard," or something. Yeah,
and
something
that's
along those
what it
lines.
was.
And then it tells you at the end of it that a Russian satellite, it just so happened to have laser beams and
And
nuclear,
a
tipped
nuclear missile
missiles,
on it. Yeah.
blew up the alien ship, the UFO. I was like, all right, here we go. That's great. Um, so that's pretty much the gist of the storyline of what's going on. All machines have come to life and taken over. It doesn't matter if it's a Coke machine, a little electric knife to cut things with, um,
Mhm.
whatever,
or
cars,
or
trucks,
or a or a woman's accessory. So,
female accessory, or would you call that a a bob, perhaps? Battery operated buddy, or is um, I believe your sister used to refer to some people as Tim, the imaginary
uh-huh,
man. Um, anyway, if you're listening, Raina, you're welcome.
uh-huh.
Threw that out there. Um, to the cast, though, for a minute. Let's get to the cast. This is Emilio Estevez in the movie. Plays
Oh,
Bill Robinson.
I actually wanted to talk to you about one of the cast members. When I was watching the movie, uh, there was definitely two of them that I recognized from like other stuff,
Uh huh.
but I was having a hard time remembering what other movie did the black truck driver play. He was the one that was driving
Oh man,
the
he's been
Green
in.
Goblin truck.
Yeah, he's been in so many. That's Frankie Faison.
Uh-huh.
He played the character of Handy. He's the one that, like you said, he drove the truck with the Green Goblin face on it. He's been in quite a few other things over the years. You probably remember seeing him in Coming to America. He was in the comedy White Chicks playing Chief Elliott Gordon. He was
Yeah.
in Do the Right Thing. If you go down to our time frame here, though, that we're going over in the 80s, I think he was the teacher in Red Dawn that went out to meet the people coming down uh, in the
Was that him?
Yeah, I think so. When the guys were parachuting in, I think that was him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get there to find out though, to be sure. I didn't tell you a
Okay.
couple other things. I also think he was in lockup too. If it's the same guy I'm thinking of,
Uh-huh.
but
Because his face is so familiar. Like he
yeah.
has that face that's like, it's like, oh man, I know that face. He
So,
was in this movie, and so
your guy here, Frankie Faison, he was in Chud, Exterminator 2, The Money Pit, Maximum Overdrive, Manhunter, Coming to America, Mississippi Burning, A Man Called Hawk, Do the Right Thing. He was not in Lockup. That's a different guy altogether. So if that's the case, he's not going to be in the other movies I was thinking either. But he was
yeah.
also in the TV series Monsters. Let's see. Anything that might send that to you? Maybe a couple episodes of Law and Order. He was in the TV series for True Colors, the movie Free Jack.
I I think that might have been it because
Oh,
I remember it also had Emilio Estevez in it.
okay.
This Free Jack had Emilio Estevez in it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, well,
That's probably it. Or if not, maybe Red Dragon. And I know you enjoyed those movies about Hannibal Lecter, so
yeah.
he was in Red Dragon as well later on. But yeah, he's definitely one of the people that you've seen doing a lot of bit pieces here and there throughout that time frame. So
Mhm. And then one of the other guys that I recognized, uh, he was also one of the truck drivers, but he was the guy that got killed towards the end of the movie. And he was the one that was taking the diamond ring off of that woman's hand, and then he gets run over.
do you remember
I've
what his name
seen,
was?
uh, um, I'm not sure, but I've seen him in like either other horror movies or he was in like maybe an episode of X Files or something like that. But he had that recognizable face.
Yeah.
So
I don't see him, and there's several of the truckers that were trucker people here are just listed by name with no pictures on them. So I
yeah,
can't put that two in. That's why I asked if you remember what his name was. So that one I don't think I can help too much with. Now back up to the top here. We're not going to talk too much about Emilio Estevez. We've done him in the past on other shows. Just to touch briefly on him, though, we know he did this right here. We know he did the Young Guns 2. Uh, was Repo Men, I believe.
yeah.
Um,
Men at Work.
Men
That
at,
was with his brother.
with Charlie
Uh,
Sheen, Men at Work. Yes, he
yeah.
did a movie with Richard Dreyfuss called Stakeout. He's also Gordon Bombay, the coach of the Mighty Ducks,
Uh-huh.
which was well known. He's
But
also trying to get his best, from what I understand, he's trying his best to come up with a Young Guns 3, though. And I'm not quite sure how they would want to pull that off because a lot of people were supposed to have died in
yeah,
that movie.
exactly. Young Guns too. Well, it kind of gives you that kind of okay. Billy the Kid didn't die. It's this old man that's talking to this reporter.
Right?
Giving this interview, and that was supposed to be Billy the Kid. So, but that was I want to say that was like a real life story that some reporter did that talked to an old man that actually said that
Yes. Yeah, that was
he
based
was
off
a
legit stuff that happened for sure. It was.
yeah.
That was part of the mystery. That's why they come up with the name Brushy Bill Roberts. Also, was he Brushy Bill Roberts or not? They never really actually proved it. I don't believe.
Uh-huh.
Now, the guy who owned the gas station truck stop, his last they just referred to him by last name of Hendershot.
Yeah, Bubba. His name was Bubba Hendershot.
Was it Bubba Hendershot? He was calling everybody else Bubba.
He called everybody in that place Bubba, but his
Dude, that's
first
like
name was
look,
Bubba.
that's like living where we look. Look for y'all. I know for y'all who don't know, Marty and I live in the same town. Okay, this is like saying Marty and I can go into one of the local Walmarts and yell out Bubba, and 15 guys will turn around and go, "What?
What?
What?"
or,
Pat
or
Pat Hingle's this guy's name. Real name Martin Patterson Hingle, but he goes by Pat Hingle when he's acting. You will know him particularly. A lot of people will as Commissioner Gordon in the early Batman movies in '89 and '92 and all the earlier ones where they had the different guys playing Batman. This is a pre-Christian Bale doing Dark Knight. This is just the other Batman. So Batman and Robin, Batman Returns. He was also the
Michael Keaton there, and George Clooney, and Val Kilmer, and it's their era of the
Right.
Batman.
right, and then he was the bartender in The Quick and the Dead, which I love that movie too. If you like the modern day Western type films, you'll love Quick and the Dead.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah.
Looks like he was in Shaft as well. I guess that's the remake version of Shaft. That we're talking about.
With Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, what's in your wallet?
Yeah. What's in your wallet?
He also has a part. I forget if he was a lawyer or what he was. I think he was one of the lawyers in one of my favorite '80s comedies, Brewster's Millions.
Yes, he was.
I thought so.
He was the. I want to say he was the lawyer that showed up at the very end of the movie. I don't think he was the two banker guys at the beginning,
Right.
but at the very end of the movie, he was sitting down with the bankers, and he was the lawyer that was present. And then that's when they were trying to get rid of the money, and then he says, I need a lawyer, and then he says, I'll put you through school. Here's the money, and then he basically, and then that's when they hand the lawyer the sheet, and he's all like, well, I see this is all legit, so and here's all your money.
That was it. That's him. So he's in quite a few things I liked growing up. The one person I didn't recognize, there was a couple of people I know I hadn't seen before that were making out to be kind of big parts of the movie, but the girl that gets she's hitching the ride with the Bible salesman. And
I want to say I've seen her seen something else, but I just don't know what.
her name was Laura Harrington.
Yeah.
Now, Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
Yeah. She was also in a movie called I think it's called The Joy of Sex in '84. But it has her listed as Pretty Girl number 2, so it's probably just a small bit part.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably wouldn't.
But yeah, I definitely remember from Buckaroo Banzai. She was one of the backup singers,
Mrs. Johnson, in Buckaroo Banzai, and then of course Maximum Overdrive. A lot of TV stuff, a lot of TV movies, and then she came back to the big screen later on in '93 with What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and then The Devil's Advocate in 1997. She was in that.
Is that the Keanu Reeves?
Yes, it looks like it is.
Okay.
From the cover I'm seeing. So I wouldn't call her a breakout star or anything like that. Someone who's maybe just a career actress, had some parts here and there to keep her busy, just enough to keep in with the screen, with SAG or something, possibly for the
But I will say this for her one liner in the movie when the Bible salesman is driving down the road, and he puts his hand on her leg, and she's like, I tell you what, you put your hand on my leg one more time, and you're gonna be wiping your ass with a hook
The hook.
next time.
I ain't never been talked to like that in my life. I ain't never heard such language coming out of a woman. Speaking of the Bible salesman, let's jump to him real quick. Do you know him from anything?
His face, he's got one of those faces that I've seen in a ton of stuff, but I just can't remember what movie. So
I know there's one in particular you know him from. You just don't realize it because of how he looked in this movie. I never thought it. I never knew it was him either because he looks completely different in it. But think of the bad guy named Eddie Arcadia.
oh, from from the Dragon movie,
Yeah, Return of the Last Dragon.
the Last Dragon.
Yes, that's
I,
Eddie Arcadia.
really? Okay.
Crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
Eddie Arcadia. His name is, of
Oh,
course,
now that
his
dude,
name
now
is
that you
Chris
say
Murney.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, now that you say that, I just pictured him right in my head, and I was like, "That's him. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Bible salesman."
Well, once you know it, you look at him and you can say, okay, I can see it now. I can see it in his face. But it still
Yeah.
throws you off at first, though. He done some TV series, Kate and Allie, The Equalizer, Murder by the Book was a TV movie he did, Civil War TV miniseries. I don't think he was ever really big in big screen
Yeah.
movies. He has
Or
a few. He has a few more under his belt, but nothing really stands out as impressive. And he's also done
more little
some
screen, right?
yeah, more the small screen, and he's done some video game voiceovers like Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto. So I mean, he keeps working, but he's not like your breakout star like the rest of them either. This is if you're really going to talk about a breakout star of anything in this movie, it's going to be Emilio Estevez.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're talking about just hold up. If you're just talking about actors now,
take that back. Take that back.
what are you me for? Is there another actor in there? No actor? Or are you talking? Hold on. First off, are you speaking actor or actress?
Actress.
Is she
You
really?
know,
Hold on.
you,
Is
you
she really a
know who
well-known
I'm talking
actress?
about, old Squeaky.
Is she really a well-known actress, or is she more known for her voice?
Okay. She's more known for her voice.
And the reason why I asked you
But
this is because
I'm
you had no clue about this. As I told you 30 minutes ago, you're like, you told me no, I was
exactly,
wrong. You're like,
exactly.
So she played the role of Connie. She's Curtis. Curtis, what's going on? Curtis, you know I don't like being on a boat. I get sick and I want to blow chunks. Curtis. At that part during the trailer I'm playing where she's like, "What's going on?" He yells at her, "I don't know." It's because he's yelled at her because she's been going nonstop for 10 minutes. Curtis, he's trying to hit us. Curtis, speed up. Curtis, what are we gonna do? Curtis. I wanted to smack her. Come on. I wanted to smack the lady at this point to get her to shut up. But her name is Yeardley Smith. And for those of you who are a fan of The Simpsons, you know who Yeardley Smith is. She's the voice of Lisa. Lisa Simpson.
Lisa Simpson. And that is crazy. And I mean, I just when you told me that, I was like, no way. And
For a
then
voice that annoying.
mm-hmm. And then and that one part where Emilio Estevez and Curtis, Billy and Curtis, and was the kid's name Danny?
Deke.
Was it Deke?
Yeah, Deke. Deke.
Deke. Okay. When they're before they show back up and everything over at the shower, and she's all like, I bet they're dead. I I I'm wondering where my Curtis is. I bet they're dead. And I was like, and then she's all like, oh, there they are. They're coming out right there. And I was like, shut up.
It's just that the voice was just so annoying. I mean, there's okay. So in certain movies, there's a go to the Last Dragon. We mentioned the Last Dragon a moment ago. The one that plays Eddie Arcadia's girlfriend Angela. She's got an annoying
Uh,
voice, don't she?
yes,
So
yes, she
annoying.
does.
And then you got the one in here, Yearly Smith playing the role of that one. I thought I just wanted to just take a screwdriver to my ears so I'd have to hear her no more. Uh, One last
Mhm.
person I want to touch on real quick. Well, I'll just go and say when she said call him for Curtis, that was played by John Short. He looks like one of those career actors that's been in and out of soap operas or something, if you ask me. But I'm not going to look him up and check him out just for the sake of time and everything. But I do want to ask you about one other person in the movie, which is the guy that played the kid Deke. Now, did he remind you of any other kid during that time frame? Because he did me.
Uh, yeah, he looked like he could be the brother to the kid on Silver Spoons, dude. Really? I mean, they look so much alike.
I mean,
Uh,
he reminded me of not Devin Sawa. He reminded me of Devin Sawa for one, and it couldn't be because that's the same age Devin Sawa would have been in the '90s when he was out.
yeah,
Also, the other kid in the Little Giants, the little blonde headed kid in the Little Giants, unless that was Devin Sawa too. I don't remember if it was or not for sure.
yeah. It could have been. You never know.
It could have been. Uh, yeah, he. I don't know what all he's done. It says here he's well known for Maximum Overdrive, Fly Away Home, Small Time, and Hairspray. So we'll just kind of leave it at that and see if
Hair, Hairspray. He must have been a lot older than Hairspray.
it was
Because ain't that?
well, it was 1988 when he did Hairspray, so it's just 2 years difference.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about that maybe with John Travolta, uh, where he was dressed in drag,
Yeah, I know what
and
you're talking about, but I can't. I don't know what it's called though.
I thought that was in the '90s or early 2000s.
Maybe the early 2000s for that. I don't think he got big again until in the 2000s and started
Yeah.
taking all those roles. So anyway, that for that. When's the first time you remember seeing this movie? Did you go watch it in the theaters or was it a video rental for you?
Uh, Maximum Overdrive. Definitely a video rental.
It
I'm
was
gonna
definitely a
say.
theater for me. Definitely.
Oh,
Uh,
was it?
I've told this story before. My mom would work in downtown Nashville, and during summer break from school, I'd talk her into maybe slide me $20. I was like, mowed the yard all these times, everything, taking care of our yard, and my neighbors was my stepfather's parents, so my step grandparents, I guess you'd say. I'd take care of their yard and our yard, and I was, doing the things I was asked to do and everything. 13 years old, you get that chore list. If you want any money to spend, you got to go with that chore list, and I did mine and then some. So occasionally, she'd slip me some extra money and drop me off down in a Metro Center where Fountain Square theaters were, and
Uh-huh.
I would catch two movies while I was there. I would play in the arcade, and I would walk around to one of the food places they had outside there. It was like a outdoor mall, basically. I know
Yeah.
Marty knows what it is, but for the rest of you listening, it's
Oh,
like kind of like an outdoor mall that you would see today. It was kind of ahead of its time, I guess. Plus, if you really wanted to go out and do it, they had paddle boats out there with this little small lake with a fountain in the middle. It's just a very
I
nice place
mean,
to go to. But I would go in there and buy a ticket for a movie and watch this movie, and then might have slipped into the rest of another one.
yeah, might have slipped into about another four, maybe.
Well,
Since
one,
that place had, since that place had like 10 theaters in it. So.
yeah, but it was just one extra because I wanted to go to the arcade and play for a while, and then get something to eat, and I didn't have much time to wait after that. So anyway, it was a fun time to say the least. Very fun time.
uh,
Yeah, I do remember watching it at the theaters. It was definitely like I said, I remember where I watched it and everything. So I really did like this movie as a young teenager. Definitely
Yeah.
grows on
Oh yeah.
you.
Like, just the beginning of the movie, where it gets past the credits, and well, I don't exactly get past all the credits,
Yeah.
but when the bridge starts to go up, and then it's like it's still kind of edging up a little bit, and you see the controls kind of messing around and stuff, and it's like that one person in the station wagon pulls up with his girlfriend, and he's all like, "Why didn't the light change? Why are we on the bridge?" And then all of a sudden it's like the whole bridge literally starts to go all the way up, and then all the cars start getting flipped over, and people are falling out of the glass, and it's like, but but I'm getting kind of way ahead of myself on one part that I really, 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 truly loved in the movie
Yes.
is that where my man Stephen King makes an appearance and says, "Honey, sugar pie,
The
this machine just called me an a-hole."
ATM. As he's walking toward the ATM across the street, the marquee above it changes and it says F you on it going across the screen. And then he
Yeah,
goes up there and
exactly.
he starts punching his buttons, as he said. He's like, honey, darling. Whatever was he? What else was it he called her?
He called it sugar plum. He
Sugar
said, he
plum.
said, "Sugar plum, come over here. This machine called me an a-hole."
It's going all across the screen. A-ho, 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 a-ho,
Yeah.
a-ho. Yeah, that was great. Uh, you mentioned earlier that you liked the scene about the steamroller.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
reading, I told you I had something for you more about the steamroller toward the end. While shooting the scene in which the steamroller rampages across the baseball diamond, Stephen King asked the special effects department to place a bag of fake blood near the dummy of a young player who would be run over by it. A smear of blood would appear on the steamroller and be resmeared on the grass over and over like a printing press. While filming the scene, the bag of blood exploded too soon and sprayed everywhere, making it appear as if the boy's head had also exploded. Says
Uh,
Stephen King was thrilled with his results, but the censors demanded that the shot be cut.
I was kind of wondering about that because if you really look at the scene itself, after the steamroller runs the kid over,
Mhm.
and you see it like rolling around on the baseball field chasing the other kid,
Yeah.
you don't see no blood on the roller itself. It's literally clean.
Yep.
You don't see anything.
Yeah.
So, and I was kind of like, it shouldn't look that clean after splattering a kid all over the grass.
No, it should not. It was also long rumored that George A. Romero ghost directed a large portion of this film because King was getting treatment for his cocaine addiction.
Well, yeah.
Many fans of Romero's work have noted that the film features many of his distinct camera angles and editing choices. When I wouldn't know how to pick that kind of stuff out. I'm not sure what they're talking about,
Well,
but
I can just by one scene alone. Where the camera is literally sitting on the grass, and it's like sitting right behind the lawnmower,
yeah,
and you see the kid come riding up on his bike, and he's kind of like hiding out to getting away from the ice cream truck.
yeah,
That whole camera angle is a dead giveaway from like Night of the Living Dead. So because of all the zombies and the camera was sitting right on the grass. So
well, it said King never admitted to it, but he has mentioned that Romero was constantly on set and King would frequently ask him for advice about directing. So it's either he asked him for advice and he took some of his tips and did it, or the rumors are true. We don't know
or
which though.
or he did do some of those things himself. So,
Yeah. It's funny, the truck stop they created for the movie was so realistic that several truck drivers stopped there and tried to fuel up. They had to had to explain to them it was just a prop for a movie, and so they eventually had to put an ad in the local paper letting people know what was going on, so they quit showing up with their trucks.
And and my thing is what's crazy is that while I was watching that whole scene where Deke, it was his name Deke,
Yeah, Deke.
yeah, where he's riding his bike down the road, and then the water was spraying up, and it stopped, and then he'd move on a little bit, and then it'd spray up again, and then it would stop, and then the last set of sprayers they'd spray, and then all of them started spraying, and then he turns around real quick, and they just all stop.
Right.
that
Just
that
messing with
scene
him.
had me cracking up.
I
But
just,
I don't know. I don't know if you got. I don't know if you got this vibe from the whole neighborhood scene. But just looking at the old brick houses and just that whole, like, I guess that 70s look of when they were built, or maybe early 80s. It I was sitting there and I was watching it, and I was like, wow, this just reminds me of so many houses that I grew up around in my neighborhood
yeah.
back in the day. I mean, I'm looking at this house and I'm like, dude, it looks like my neighbor's house across the road.
It could have been your city. The lawnmower could have been coming for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man, Stephen King was a huge fan of ACDC when he asked him to do the soundtrack. And do you know how he got them to do the soundtrack?
Oh,
He sang one of their songs for them from front to back, end to end. And
for
and,
real.
and, they, and they laughed and they said, "Well, you really must be a fan of ours." Then sure, we'll do it for you. He tried to get him in a movie scene to get him credit in the movie.
Uh,
They're like, "Nah, it's okay. We're not actors. We're singers. We'll just stick with what we do best."
they kind of did get a little promo from the whole bridge thing. If you
Yeah.
remember, the van had ACDC written on the side of it.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And the song Stephen King sang was "Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire" from their 1976 album "Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap."
uh-huh.
And of course, this album that they made for the movie, they wrote one new track for the movie. Do you know which song from the whole soundtrack was the new track?
Who made who?
Who made who? That's correct.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was rumored there was
because
a
everything else, I think everything else was Highway to Hell, Back in Black, You Rock Me All Night Long, and
Shake Your
then they had some,
Foundations.
yeah, and then
Sneak
they had some songs. Then they had some songs that were just uh,
instrumental.
just the electric guitar playing. So,
One of the instrumental songs was simply titled DT. I don't know what DT stood for, but it was called DT. And they also did one of their songs called "Sink the Pink" that was in it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
but like we said before, this soundtrack, if you're a metal fan, this was your soundtrack.
that was your
So,
sound for sure. I had it. I had it on cassette and DVD or DVD CD back in the day when it was out. Definitely had it. At first, I thought it was a greatest hits thing, but it's like it's not a greatest hit. It's a soundtrack thing for Maximum Overdrive. Um,
uh-huh.
the original script of this movie ended actually differently. It had the Dixie Boys survivors deal with one last obstacle before escaping, and it was a machine gun mounted Coast Guard boat.
Oh, okay. That would have been interesting.
Yep, that was set to be the last one they were going to do, and There was also one last shot of the city of Wilmington being destroyed by the machines, but they didn't do that either.
Yeah. Or what do you think about the when the airplane's flying over and it was playing the
I know what you're
the
talking
ride
about.
of the ride of the Valkyries? Is that the name of the song it was playing?
It might be. I've only heard it two other places. It was another movie while being in an airplane and on WWE wrestling with Daniel Bryan.
I was like, but if you notice in a lot of the scenes where it showed like the inside of the cab of the truck, except for the Green Goblin truck, because when Emilio Estevez goes and looks inside that truck just to see if there wasn't anybody hiding out, that had started the truck. If you notice, a lot of the scenes, I think they used the same interior, like screenshots,
Mhm.
because it was like at one point they showed like the inside of this one truck, and you see the gear shift like moving, and you see the clutch. The clutch starts to go in, and then the gas goes down, and then you see like another truck moving, and then it goes to the same screenshot. It's like they use the same interior like over and over and over again for like like a lot of the inside shots of the trucks.
Do you remember? Do you recall? Was there a short story? I know there was a short story called Trucks. Was there a film adaptation of it too? Whether it be a movie based on. Let's see. This was a part of what night shift?
Yes,
So did
night shift was part of the short stories, and trucks was one of them. So, but they did do an updated version of Maximum Overdrive in maybe like 2012 or maybe 2013, and it
like
was
you mean like
actually
a
titled.
re-release?
No, it was a remake, and it was actually called Trucks. So
Okay, that's one of the things I want to ask about. And this might be what you're talking about, but I'm not so sure we're talking about the same thing. I got a TV movie in 1997 called Trucks, and
yeah, I think it was a TV maybe. Was Ron Perlman in it?
well, that's what I'm about to find out to see what some of the people was in it because it came on Amazon Prime right as soon as Maximum Overdrive went off. That was coming on.
Yeah, that was the remake.
This has Timothy Busfield in it.
Okay.
Brendan Fletcher, Jay Breza. Um, I don't see
I
Ron
I
Perlman's name.
I myself did not like Trucks. I mean, I thought it was okay for what it was, but Maximum Overdrive is still like it. It Maximum Overdrive, in my opinion, stands the test of time.
Yeah.
This movie, this movie might have been done in the '80s, but I will literally recommend it to anybody that loves like a good horror comedy. I mean, and I even today before I left work, I told them, I'm doing a podcast with my friend, on my buddy's podcast tonight, talking about Maximum Overdrive, and literally this 23-year-old, she's all like, "Oh my God, I love that movie. My dad made me watch that movie, when I was growing up," and I was like,
He did
"There you
not
go,
fail
right
then.
there."
He did not
Yeah,
fail.
he did not fail.
I constantly tell my sister she failed her kids growing up because they do not know anything about any 80s movies. They couldn't tell you well, my nephew can tell you more than my niece can. My niece doesn't know what the Goonies were. She never watched the original Top Gun. She didn't see the original Karate Kid. Nothing like that.
Mhm. But like, what was probably one of your favorite scenes in this movie? I mean, I don't know if I can just like center it down to like one favorite scene because I got like a lot of favorite scenes in this movie. So
Red favorite scene, probably one of the times they came out with the rocket launcher. I think it's when the owner of the restaurant place comes out with the rocket launcher the first time around and blows three of them up.
mhm.
That was kind of
and then and then
unexpected.
and then it's like Emilio Estevez is like, where'd you get that from? And he's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He's like, and then the one cat that what was his name? Joey. The uh, yeah, it was Joey.
There
He
was
says,
there was a Joey for sure.
yeah. He goes. Oh, he's got it down in his face. And he's like, shut up, Joey.
He's the one that ultimately told on him in the bathroom what all he had.
Mhm. But uh, if I had a particular favorite scene, it would probably be. I love the part where they're making their big escape. After the truck stop gets blown all to hell, and and they're making their big escape to the boat, the marina, and they stop by that fence, and it's right there by that burger joint, and then all of a sudden the sign just lights up, and it goes, "Humans here, humans here, humans here," and then the Deke walks up and he goes, "This is for my dad, USOB," and he just shoots the crap out of the sign,
Right.
and he literally hands it over to the girl and he says, "I don't need this no more." So I was like, that one scene was just it kind of spoke to me. It was like he was kind of getting revenge on the machine for his father. So, which I thought that was really cool.
All right. Well, it's about time to go start wrapping things up, Marty. It's been a great movie. It's been fun talking about it. This will always be in my list of movies to like what I referred to before. Me and Travis talked about our go to kind of like comfort movies from the 80s or something. And it's funny I say
Mhm.
comfort movie because it's got killing and stuff in it and stuff like that. That's not really comforting in its own, but the fact that I love the movie so much and I've seen it so many times kind of makes it a comforting type movie. And you know what? You weren't around for this. I'm going to ask you. It's not a comfort movie. It's a guilty pleasure movie. Okay, that's what we call them, guilty pleasures.
Yeah, guilty
I
pleasure.
want to
I
get you to
like
tell
that
me
better.
while I'm getting my stuff together here to end the show. Tell me what is your guilty pleasure movie? That now
Oh, my
this is
guilty.
a movie that nobody would think you would watch it, okay? Because it doesn't fit your look, your what you normally watch for a movie, your criteria for movies or something, your real love for horror that you have. It's this is a guilty pleasure movie that nobody would think would be a movie that you like.
I'm about to tell off on myself
Uh
because
huh.
I'm I'm a particular person that I do not like musicals whatsoever,
Uh huh.
but I love the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
A Rocky Horror Picture Show, man. I've
Yeah,
never ever ever seen that movie.
that is my guilty pleasure. So
I just got no interest. It never really stood out to me as something I wanted to watch. And of course, I gave my guilty pleasure movie back then, but I'll save everybody the chance or the time of dragging it all down. You can go look up the podcast though and listen to the rest of our guilty pleasure movies that we bring up. But one of my biggest guilty pleasure movies was Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
that's a good one too. I
Yeah,
will admit.
it was a fun
Had a
movie,
lot of had a lot of good actresses and actors and
right? And definitely a fun movie. So, well, let's go ahead and start wrapping things up. If you want to check us out on social media. You can find us at Facebook and on Instagram. We have a TikTok with a few things on there, but if you're going to TikTok thinking you're going to be watching us all day long, you're going to be disappointed. Go back to Instagram, go back to Facebook, and you'll find more of us on there than anything. We do have a YouTube page. If you go to youtube.com and at the end of it, type in at the at sign, and then after that, Retro Life for You. That's number 4 YOU. It'll take you straight to our homepage there on YouTube where you can see uh, the videos we have available. And I don't have all the entire library done yet, but I've got about as many as I can get done with just a few more to go. I think I'm missing some overall. I think I'm missing some, which I don't doubt it because I did have a move from Florida to Tennessee, and I think I had them on a flash drive, and I might have lost the flash drive. I just don't know. I'm having trouble finding what I believe is all of the movies. Not movies, podcast episodes for YouTube. So excuse me on that. But also, if you go to www.retrolife, the number 4, the letter u.com, you can see us online. You can listen to us through your web browser. And if you go in the show notes, you can click on the video that's there that will play. Just keep in mind, if it's a brand new episode for that week, the video will be a day behind on an average because of the way Captivate, who's my host, works until they get their glitch fixed out and everything. So, unfortunately, it's still not fixed. But Marty, tell us about your book real quick, man.
All right. Well, I have 2 books published through Amazon. The first book is The Town of Forever, Chronicles of Jacob Dark. And if you look it up on Amazon, it'll say you'll have to type in The Town of Forever, Chronicles of Jacob Dark Revised, because of where I added a few extra chapters. So, and my second book is called Hunters and Prey, Chronicles of Jacob Dark, and it's also on Amazon. And if I ever get out of my writing funk, or if I ever find time to start writing again, I'm going to start working on my short story book, which is titled Hollow Z. So, and I've got quite a few short stories already written. It's just there's one particular story that I'm working on right now is just giving me some trouble.
Yeah.
So, and once I get that hammered out, then I'll send it on to Amazon and let them print it up. So, but
All right.
if
Well,
anybody,
we look forward to it. If anybody wants to take a listen, make sure you search his book out there. Go to Amazon, pick it up. It's a good read.
thank you, Chris.
Now, I would say, blew my mind a lot of times reading it because I'm not a huge horror nut like Marty is. So it blew my mind for sure. I had to wonder where this darkness came from. Did I really know him like I thought I did? It's like he channeled his inner Stephen King, his inner Clive
my inner
Barker.
Stephen. That's it. My split personality as it is.
Split.
Really.
Luckily, I've only been to his house when this part of the personality is there. All right, so Marty, I'll ask you one more question before we end the show tonight, man. Are you ready? Actually, I guess it's 2 questions. So, are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
Well, the movie we watched is all about trucks tonight. So, what do you call? No, why did the truck driver put his money in the freezer?
I don't know why.
Because he was all about that cold hard cash, Marty.
Well,